In the dead of night, a young man rose from bed. He walked barefoot to his car, drove 14 miles, entered a house, and unleashed a horror no one saw coming. His hands were soaked in blood. His mother-in-law dead. His father-in-law barely alive. And when he turned himself in, he whispered just 5 words. "I think I've killed someone." But here's the twist. He was sleepwalking the entire time. This is not fiction. This is the real-life story of Kenneth James Parks. A case so shocking, it rewrote legal textbooks, stunned psychologists, and left an entire nation asking, can someone kill in their sleep? Kenneth James Parks was born in Canada in 1963. By 1987, at just 23 years old, he was a husband, a father, and a man quietly trying to navigate adulthood in Pickering, Ontario. By all appearances, Kenneth was ordinary. He had an easy smile, a kind demeanor, and a reputation for being gentle, especially with his wife's parents, Barbara and Dennis Woods. To them, Kenneth wasn't just a son-in-law. He was family. But behind closed doors, things weren't so calm. Kenneth had a secret, a dark one. He had developed a serious gambling addiction. What began as casual bets turned into a dangerous spiral. He started missing work. Then he started stealing from his employer. In 1986, Kenneth was fired from his job after embezzling thousands of dollars to fuel his gambling. The shame was crushing. He didn't tell Barbara and Dennis. Not yet, but he planned to. May 20th, 1987, he circled it in his mind. He would finally confess to them, apologize, and hope for their understanding. But he never made it to that conversation. May 23rd, 1987. It's early morning, sometime after 1 a.m. Kenneth Parks gets out of bed, but not in the way you and I do. He is unconscious. His eyes are open, but his mind is asleep. What happens next is one of the most bizarre sequences in true crime history. Kenneth gets into his car, barefoot, no shoes, no sense of time or awareness. He drives 14 miles from his home in Pickering to Scarborough, about a 20-minute journey. He does not recall stopping at red lights. He does not recall traffic. He doesn't remember the drive at all. All he remembers is darkness, then blood. At approximately 3 a.m., Kenneth enters the home of Barbara and Dennis Woods using a key they had previously given him. The house is silent. They are asleep. He walks into their bedroom. What he does next is chilling beyond belief. Barbara Woods, his 42-year-old mother-in-law, is attacked violently. Kenneth beats her, bludgeons her, and stabs her repeatedly. Her injuries are catastrophic. Dennis Woods tries to fight back. Kenneth turns on him, attempts to strangle him. Dennis, older, slower, somehow manages to survive, though badly injured. Then, without a word, Kenneth leaves. He drives straight to the police station. When he arrives, officers describe him as calm, almost robotic. His hands are torn open, bloodied. The skin is peeling off. He looks the officers in the eye and says, "I think I've killed some people, my hands." Police rush to the Woods home. What they find is pure carnage. Barbara is dead. Dennis is barely breathing. Kenneth's fingerprints are on the knife. His car has blood on the steering wheel. It should be an open and shut murder case. But there's one problem. Kenneth Parks has no memory of the attack. He agrees to every test. He confesses to everything except one thing. He didn't do it consciously. Doctors and psychiatrists begin to evaluate him. What they find is unprecedented. Kenneth has a long history of parasomnia, a rare sleep disorder. Since childhood, he had episodes of sleepwalking, night terrors, dissociative states. But this was different. EEGs and sleep lab tests reveal something even more alarming. Kenneth's brain was capable of complex motor behavior during deep sleep, driving, unlocking doors, even violent physical movement while remaining in a non-conscious state. The medical term? Homicidal somnambulism. It's rare, incredibly rare, but it's real. In 1989, the trial begins. The media descends. Headlines scream sleepwalker killer, murder without memory. The defense argues that Kenneth Parks was in a state of non-insane automatism, a legal defense where the accused has no control over their actions due to an unconscious state. Expert after expert takes the stand. Neuroscientists, sleep specialists, psychiatrists. The prosecution counters with fury. He drove a car, they shout. He used a key. He navigated roads. But doctors explain complex actions can occur during parasomnia episodes. The body essentially is on autopilot. The jury is torn. The evidence is damning, but the science is solid. In 1992, after years of legal wrangling, the verdict is read. Not guilty. Not guilty of murder. Not guilty of attempted murder. Because Kenneth Parks was asleep. Kenneth was a free man, but freedom came with a cost. He lived with the knowledge that he had taken a life, not by intent, but by biology. He suffered from PTSD, nightmares, public harassment. He once said, "I didn't ask to be forgiven. I asked to be understood." The Woods family, shattered, carried the pain forever. In Canada, it was forced to confront a terrifying idea. Sometimes the enemy isn't a monster in the dark. Sometimes it's your own mind when you're not even awake. The story of Kenneth Parks remains one of the most disturbing and debated legal cases in modern history. A crime with no motive, a killer with no memory. A courtroom where science clashed with law. And a question that still chills us. If you're not awake, are you still responsible?